Kia ora. Thank you very much for the opportunity to come along here. I think the last time I was here was speaking to the winemakers. I'd like to acknowledge my parliamentary colleague, Stuart Smith, down there, Bruce Wills, who's the independent chair of Apiculture New Zealand, Karen, who just spoke, Mayor John Leggett, I think John's here somewhere, and acknowledge local iwi. It's a bit boring here, actually. Yesterday I had about 5,000 fluoro wearing West Coasters down, so it's a very mild and moderate kind of audience I'm facing here today. It's nice to be here though, and I guess in summary, I figure I've come along to the wild west of primary production. And I say that as a West Coast MP. I do have some understanding of what that might mean, and I'll work through why I say this. This is an amazing industry. $5 billion worth of value in pollination alone for New Zealand agribusiness. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the work that your animals and the beekeeping industry does. So for that, I say thank you very, very much. When the primary sectors do well, then New Zealand does well, and they rely on the pollination of your bees. Can I say that as a government, we have said we're trying to move from volume to value. And I say from volume to values. And as I look at the products here being advertised, those products, through, I guess, our good management, kaitiakitanga, that's wise utilisation of our resources, to produce products that are not just good to eat, but actually beneficial. And the health that you sell and imply through the sale of your products, and we could call that manakitanga. And that is not just being hospitable, but actually caring for people in a way that is really important. And so those two Māori values, I think, are at the heart of everything we do as a country, and particularly if you look at your industry and the products that you're producing at the top end. But can I say, and I'll be fairly blunt here, there are a few challenges. And I looked at an audit done of AFB and the National Health Pest Management Plan that's in place. And I'd have to say, let me quote, widespread non-compliance by beekeepers with reporting requirements, lack of progress in meeting the 5% reduction target, lack of resources, more robust epidemiology needed, and improvement to the plan's implementation and compliance should be considered. That's why I say it's the Wild West. In an industry that has had rapid growth and amazing success, we still have some big challenges ahead of us. The commitment to reduce AFB by 5% over a year since 2013 has not happened. In an industry in that time that is now 10 times higher in value, hives are 3 times higher, then we've got to do something about this. We in government are not going to sit back and just allow this to continue on. It's estimated that AFB costs you about 6% of your gross returns. That's a huge impact on your industry, and we've got to do something about reducing that cost for each and every one of you. Can I say that in doing some quick calculations, we've got assets in hives worth about $800 million, conservative estimate. 800,000 hives, $700 to $1,500 of value, you make your pick. It's about $800 million on the ground. We've got registered hives, but we don't have hives that you can trace. And what we have learned through M. bovis is that unless we can track the animals that we're trying to treat, and in some cases cull, then we don't have a chance of getting ahead of that disease. So too, I believe, in a number of other areas. Bovine tuberculosis is a challenge for the livestock industry. You've got Varroa, but you've also got AFB. And in my view, until you get to the point where you can trace each and every one of your hives, assets worth about $1,000, why wouldn't you want to? then it's going to be hard for us to get on top of this one pest management plan. So I'm going to give you a choice that you can either trace your bees or your beehives. It might be a little easier to do your beehives, but in the area of, I guess, the Commodity Levies Act, where we're still talking about charges per apiary, I think that's too backward looking. We've got to move into the new world with the technology that we have and step up and start tracing your hives and start complying with that AFB, National Pest Management Plan. Can I say that we in government have been very happy, and I certainly moved it as quickly as possible to bring in place a robust Manuka honey definition. We used the best science that was available to us. We, at the latter stage in the process, took on board some more evidence from the industry and then made some changes to have not just a monofloral but a multifloral definition for Manuka. And I know that has been a challenge for some in the industry, but I make no apologies. We were at serious risk of undermining the credibility of your products in the international marketplace, but also undermining the reputation of New Zealand as the producer and exporter of the finest and safest products in the world. We need to be able to deliver what we say is on the packet of each and every product that goes out of this country. And we couldn't do that, and I hope that we can in the future. So that definition will be open to adjustment and amendment where we receive more scientific evidence that says it should be tweaked. Today I'm making the announcement, of course, that we're starting consultation on a domestic Manuka standard. It's a very open document. It asks a number of questions about how we should implement that, whether we should implement that, but you understand, as we do, that there is a serious risk of honey produced or Manuka honey produced for the domestic market that ends up in the export markets. There's a whole lot of value in having consistency, but it's up to you to report back to us through the consultation period in terms of how you want that to run through. So I welcome feedback on that. Can I just say that our future as a country will depend on our level of cooperation and the integrity of each and every system that we run in this country. We have been very, very lucky in the past, and we've traded on the investment of our ancestors in terms of the dairy industry, the meat industry, wool, and of course supported by what was a small beekeeping industry in those days. We're all stepping up, and we can see a huge future out there. New Zealand's reputation as being honest, free of corruption, basically delivering on what we say we will, is now ever more important in the new and emerging markets around the world where people question what they buy. Can I say that we've got to uphold that through the systems that we will develop? Through our new food safety, New Zealand food safety, we have a business unit in NPI that is focused more directly on the challenges moving ahead, just as Biosecurity New Zealand is as well in that area. You know that you're under threat from diseases around the world. Have to say that Varroa came in through the stupidity of someone in your industry, just as M. bovis came in through the stupidity of someone in the livestock sector. That may have been through a genuine mistake, but more likely from systems that weren't properly implemented or carried through. We cannot afford to have that happen again. The GIAs, Government Industry Agreements, are documents signed between industry and government, sparked by the Varroa mite chaos and our inability in government to talk to an industry body that could manage the industry side of an incursion. The GIAs have been a system in development, yet to be fully signed by the livestock sector, I have to say, but now in place for many other sectors, horticulture, beekeeping industry. When we have an incursion, we need to know who to talk to and what to do. And these documents mean there's a partnership between government and industry. I believe that industry need to have more say in the prevention side of that whole biosecurity system. And we will tweak the GIA documents to allow you to have that say. But for that, we expect you to deliver in the incursion management area. And just as I've made the point before with AFB, we want people to do what they say they're going to do. It's not happening everywhere in the livestock sector with M. bovis. We're chasing up on that. So can I say that the integrity of our systems and the commitment to it by industry is just as important itself as the system. And I guess in finishing, I'd just like to say thank you for your commitment to bring together the industry under Apiculture New Zealand. I know there's still division. Get over it. Come in under one organisation. Yes, there are different approaches and there's a long history, but in the end, unless you are united, then we won't be able to get out there and further increase the value of everything that you do. We don't want you to do more. We don't want to double the number of hives because there's a view that some overstocking is occurring already. What we want to do is get more value from what you do now. And I consider there's incredible potential to get more value from the normal honey that we've taken for granted. But from an environment like this, I'm sure has a premium around the world. Then the ability to turn it into higher value products is something that through Sustainable Farming Fund or other Callaghan Innovation, other government supportive agencies, we want to add value to everything you do in your industry. Thank you very, very much for the opportunity to be here. As Minister of Biosecurity, Agriculture and Associate Trade, I believe I have a huge responsibility to assist you and other primary sectors to get out into the world, to do well, and in that way to ensure that New Zealand does well. I just urge you to look at the consultation document on domestic Manuka standards, have a say. We will be listening, but in the end I think it's important that we do set some standards, that we adhere to them, and that we build off that value. So thank you very, very much. As I say, you work out whether you want to tag the bees or tag the beehives. But in the end, we've got to have a better system of identification and traceability if we're to make progress in both disease management and in the integrity of the products that we sell to the world. Thank you very much. I wish you all the very best for the conference, and I look forward to feedback from it. Kia ora.